human brain. Number one, it is a natural pathways and memories formation since our input travels through natural networks. First, proceeding a short-term memory and temporary storage hub. This information is then relayed to the brain structural core when it is integrated in existing knowledge and started a long-term memory. Repeated and natural interaction strength sympathetic bonds leading an efficient recall. It is a task like communicating before and become automatic. Interquent neural communication results in a fragment or ineligible memories due to the signal and degradation. From the word existing knowledge, if we are going to create some scenarios that focus on our life or whatsoever it is. So if we're going to create the scenario, we can have a happiness in our brain, or we can gather this information that for us we can be happy. And it is also like existing. Like for example, hair or paper, clothes or whatsoever. And so that's why our memories remain but existing. Somehow our memories can be useful to the other and so on and so forth. This one is emotional enhanced memory retention. It is experience of some individuals that can be happy in their life. Like for example, I am an individual who experienced some joyful in my life, like bonding with my friends, families, and classmates. So that's why I can create so many scenarios that can be helpful me, and it is part of the the happiness of the human brain. If we're going to create some scenarios, our memory or our brain can memorize or memory being more vivid and accurate. Events study strong emotion, acknowledge emotional heartbreak achievement, are recalling the greater clarity than neutral experiences. Let's proceed to the learning as a lifelong process. The brain is naturally curious, constantly speaking innovatively from birth. Skill development and learning rely on gradual exposure to new information, allowing neutral pathways to adapt and strengthen over time. Studied in 2014. Practical implication. Its repetition practice solidify natural connection, turning complex tasks into effortless habits. Positive emotional contents. Fulfillment during learning experiences and can enhance memory retention and cognitive effectiveness and efficiency. Overall, learning and memory shape by natural efficiency, repetition, emotional context, happiness, and other emotional acts, catalytes, embodying experiences more deeply into long-term memory, calculating curiosity and gradual skill building, strengths and brain ability to proceed and retain information, fostering lifelong learning processes of the human brain. The word learning happiness in the brain. From the word happiness, it is we are going to create some funniest moments to our friends, families, teachers, classmates, and so on and so forth. Those memories can remain instantly in our brain, and so that's why it can exist in our long lifetime processes. So that's all. Thank you.
Our topic for today is metacognition. One of the most amazing abilities of the human brain is its power to learn, to understand, and to learning itself. Every day, our brain takes new informations, from reading, solving problems, or simply experiencing life. But beyond just learning, there is something more even powerful, and it's metacognition. So, what is metacognition? Metacognition means thinking about thinking. It is the ability to understand our mind, how our mind works, how we learn, how we remember, and how we solve problems. This makes metacognition a vital skill, not only for a student, but for everyone who wants to become a better learner and a wiser person. According to Paris 2014 and Peripoul-Gagné et al. 2009, metacognition enables students to become more active in their learning. It helps them mobilize all their resources, their skills, memory, and focus to achieve success. In simpler terms, it's about being aware of how you learn, what helps you learn, and how you can use that knowledge to do even better next time. When student practices metacognition, they don't just study, they study smart. They know what strategies to use, how to adjust when something isn't working, and how to reflect on what went well. Metacognition gave us control over our body learning. Instead of being overwhelmed or confused, we can take charges, find solution, and grow confident in our abilities. While according to LD Online Glossary 2014 defines metacognition as thinking about one's own mental or cognitive processes, it means we are not just doing an activity. We are aware of what we are doing and why we are doing it. For example, before reading, a good reader sets a purpose, asking himself or herself, what I am reading this for? What's the reason why I need to read this text? While reading, they monitor themselves. They monitor if they really understand, checking if they truly understand the book or the text they are reading. And after reading, they reflect, asking, did I learn something? Did you really get the main point of that book you read or the text you read? This process makes learning more meaningful and less mechanical. It turns simply studying into more active learning. Here are some examples of metacognition in everyday learning. The first one is when a student learns which study habit works better for them. Maybe summarizing all those lessons helps them to remember everything. Or number two, when a student discovers their personal learning style, such as listening to the teacher while discussing, or writing all those lessons on a piece of paper. Lastly, is when a student identifies what is the best problem-solving skills or strategies, such as breaking big problems into smaller ones, which helps them to make it easy to take easier steps one by one. Knowing these things help students to become independent learners. They no longer rely on teachers. They teach themselves. When a student uses metacognition, they begin to take ownership of their learning. They become aware of their strengths and weaknesses, and they know how to improve. Students with metacognitive skills also became better at managing time, reducing anxiety, and staying motivated because they know and understand what works the best for them. Metacognition builds confidence, independence, and self-discipline. This essential skill, or this three essential skill for the success not only in school but also in life.
According to Edgar Morin, 2014, metacognition is thinking and reflecting before, during, and after a task. It kicks in when students ponder which strategies will help them perform a task effectively and judge whether those strategies actually met the expected standard. Recognition is simply thinking about your thinking. It's the process of being aware of your own thought process to better understand and manage your learning and problem solving. It involves planning what you will do, monitoring your progress, and evaluating your performance afterward to see what worked and what didn't. First, before a task, you think about what you need to do, your goal, and what strategies you will use. For example, I need to study for my test. I'll make flashcards and review my notes. Second, while doing the task, you check your understanding and see if your strategy is working. Like for example, am I understanding this chapter? It's not making sense. So I need to try reading it again more slowly. Last, when evaluating, you reflect on your performance and the strategies you used. Cognition matters. It matters because students have to choose strategies for every single task, and the time spent teaching various approaches is valuable only if learners can pick the ones that truly boost their performance. The slide lists some handy metacognitive strategies teachers can use. First was think alouds. When we use these strategies, you will verbalize your thought process. It is the best structural strategy ever because it refers to a teaching technique used to improve comprehension and problem solving skills in students. Organizational tools are resources, techniques, and apps that improve efficiency for task, time, and project management. It helps tackle word problems by structuring information.
Types of learning strategies and supports. Metacognitive. Here are the basic metacognitive strategies or aids. First one is connecting new information to existing knowledge. In this one, you are making a link on the things that you want to learn now and the things that you already know. The second one is selecting thinking strategies deliberately because you are consciously choosing a way to solve a problem or the task at hand. The third one is the planning, monitoring, and evaluating thinking processes. In the planning, this is when you are deciding on how to approach the task. In the monitoring, this is when you are checking if your plan is working, and in the evaluating, this is when you review the results when it is done. Now let's move on to the strategies on how to develop metacognition. Here are 4 strategies. The first one is share model self-monitoring. In this one, the instructor shows the students on how they can check their own understanding out loud. It's called Think Aloud. The second one is explain and provide handouts regarding particular strategies that are useful. This one is the students are given tools and the instructor tells them for what they are. The third one is clarity and model particular strategies whether they are appropriate. This one is they are showing the students on why and how other strategies are better over another. The last one is clarify why that strategy is appropriate. You're going to explain the benefit or the purpose on that specific strategy, why it is better than the others.
Study strategies. Here are popular study strategies and learning techniques based on meta-study evaluated by Donlowski et al. 2013. Number 1 is practice over time. Number 2 is questioning and explanation. Number 3 is producing summaries of text. Number 4 is highlighting and underlining portions of text. Number 1 is practice over time. Instead of cramming, spread out your study sessions so you review material multiple times over days or weeks. This helps solidify your memory and understanding. Number 2 is questioning and explanation. Ask yourself questions about your learning and try to explain concepts in your own words, connecting new ideas to things you already know. Number 3 is producing summaries of text. Write or say some summary of main points using your own words, which helps you process and understand the information better. Number 4 is highlighting and underlining portions of text. Mark important phrases, sentences, or sections as you read to help focus your review on key concepts. Setting goals for success. Students are bound to face multifarious tasks overlapping with other roles they portray at different social institutions. Enlightening them with which goals they are to track would seize their mind in possible dilemma. This means students juggle many duties across different settings. Telling them which goals to track may overwhelm or confuse them, so setting goals is important. Ryan, as cited by Lachlan Latham, reminds that conscious goals affect action. Thus, a goal is the object or aim of an action. A college student's academic goal is to fulfill the course requirements and pass all examinations to graduate on time for the length of the program she or he is taking. Goals affect performance through 4 mechanisms. Here are the importance of goals. First, goals serves as directive function. They direct attention and efforts toward goal-relevant activities and away from goal-irrelevant activities. In short, these goals tells you where to focus your attention and effort. Second, goals have an energizing function. High goals lead for a great effort than low goals. In other words, these goals gives you motivation. Bigger and harder goals make you try harder and work more. Third, goals affect persistence. When participants are allowed to control the time they spend on tasks, hard goals prolong effort. Faced with a difficult goal, it is possible to work faster and more intensely for a short period, or to work more slowly and less intensely for a short period, or to work more slowly and less intensely for a long period. In short, when you have a tough goal, you keep working even when it gets harder. Goals help you not to give up easily. Fourth, goals affect action indirectly by leading the arousal, discovery, and or use of task-relevant knowledge and strategies. In other words, this goal makes you find better ways to do your work, like learning new skill or trying new strategies to reach your goals more easily.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Judy Medisurbito, the fifth reporter of Book 6. So the topic that assigned to me is Albert Bandura's self-efficacy. So theory derived from the social cognitive theory emphasizes the critical role of self-belief in achieving goals. Self-efficacy is individuals' belief in their ability to succeed in specific situations or accomplish a task. influencing their motivation, behavior, and ability to handle challenging situations. Albert Bandura's 1994, as cited by Wilde 2011, defines self-efficacy as people's belief about their capabilities to produce designated levels of performance that exercise influence over events that affects their lives. Four sources of efficacy beliefs. Number one, mastery experiences, direct experiences of success or failure. Successes build self-efficacy while failures can diminish it unless overcome with conviction. Number two, vicarious experiences. Observing others succeed or fail. Similarity between the observer and the model influences the impact on self-efficacy. 3. Verbal or social persuasion, encouragement or discouragement from others. Positive persuasion can enhance self-efficacy, while negative feedback can undermine it. 4. Emotional and psychological states, emotional and physical reaction to situations. Positive emotion boosts confidence, while stress and anxiety can lower self-efficacy.
Moving on, we will now discuss the Carol Dweck's mindset. Carol Dweck is a world-renowned psychologist and researcher of the Stanford University. And according to her, she believed that mindset are a set of beliefs about oneself and about one's most basic qualities. Carol Dweck also believed that there are two types of mindset. The first one is the fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is the belief that the abilities, the intelligence, talents, and skills of a person are innate and unchangeable. People with fixed mindset often think that they are born with a certain level of intelligence and skills, and no amount of effort can significantly change that. In the simplest explanation, people with a fixed mindset believe that they have a certain amount of intelligence and they don't believe in improvement or growth. However, on the contradictory of fixed mindset, we have growth mindset. Growth mindset is a belief that the abilities, the intelligence, the talent, and skills of a person can develop through effort, practice, and learning. People with this mindset often see challenge as an opportunities, and they believe that they can improve with persistence. In a simplest explanation, people with a growth mindset believe that they can improve, they can ameliorate their talent and intelligence. Now, Carol Dweck also introduces 4 simple steps in changing your mindset. The first one is you have to learn to hear your fixed mindset voice. This means of becoming aware or consciously aware of the negative thoughts or belief that tells you that you can't or you're not good enough. Everyone has an inner voice that sometimes doubt their abilities. The second one is you have to recognize that you have a choice. Once you notice that the fixed mindset thought, you have to understand that the fixed mindset voice or what your fixed mindset voice telling you is you don't have to believe it. You have to understand or you have a choice on how to respond to it instead of letting that thought control you. The third one is talk back to it with a growth mindset. This step is about replacing negative thoughts with a positive, growth and focused one. You have to actively challenge your fixed mindset. So, for example, if your fixed mindset tells you that you can't do it and you can improve, talk back to it with a good mindset saying that I can improve and I can do it. The last step is take the growth mindset action. This is important steps in changing your mindset that after learning or after hearing your fixed mindset voice, after recognizing it, after talking it with a growth mindset, you have to do it with an action. Moving on, let's now discuss goal setting theory. Goal setting theory is something that most people recognize as necessary for their success, and it was developed by Edwin Locke. It explains that people perform better when they have a clear, specific, and challenging goals. In the simplest terms, having a well-defined goals gives people direction and it encourages them to work harder and smarter to reach that goal. In fact, Dr. Gary Latham conducted a research and his results supported exactly on what Edwin Locke found, and that the inseparable connection between goal setting and workplace performance. Now, it is important to note that goal setting have 5 principles, and number 1 is clarity. This means that the goal work best when they are well defined. It should be specific and easy to understand. A clear goal tells you exactly of what you need to be done and when. For example, instead of saying I want to excel in math, a clear goal with a clarity states that I want to excel in math at least 90% by studying every day, like for 2 hours, and that example of the clarity. The second one is challenge. Goals should be difficult enough to motivate you, but still achievable. Meaning to say, a goal should have a challenge that will motivate you to achieve that goal. Number 3, commitment. You must agree and commit to your goals, meaning to say you are emotionally invested and willing to put an effort to that goal. The fourth one is feedback. Getting feedback helps you see your progress and your improvements. It is important to track if you are making a progress or not. The last one is task complexity. If you have a goal that is complicated or requires a lot of effort and steps, it should be broken into a smaller. It will help you to prevent feeling overwhelmed and allows you to focus on completing one at a time.
Now let's proceed to the stressor and response. Definition of stress and stressor. Stress is a state triggered by factors that disrupt equilibrium between an individual and their environment, requiring physical, mental, and adaptation. Stressor, condition, or event perceived as threatening well-being, existing one common resources. There was a 2 types categories of stressor: physical strain and perceived traits. Physical externus is injury and chronic illness, while the perceived traits is a during exam, work, and school pressure. Stress and response, fall 2017. Trigger perceived danger activities that fight response releasing stress hormones. Affects rapid sociological and psychological and emotional changes to enhance survival. Physical increased heart rate, tightened muscle, redirected blood flow, heightened senses. Mental, emotional, sharpened focus, heightened alternatives, altering brain function. Vacation. Stress are very intensity and perception influencing how individual responds. Chronic activation of the stress response can strain the body, emphasizing the need of adaptive coping strategizing. Understanding stressor types helps tailor interventions addressing physical versus psychological triggers. Stress is a evolutionary survival mechanism, but its impact depends on the nature of stressor and individuals. To manage them, recognizing stress and mitigating stress response are creating or maintaining physical and mental health. Stress and response. Just like, for example, when I was going on the way to the school, I was called up by a man, and I don't know what to do if I'm going to be stressed or I'm going to respond, because you were called up by a man and you don't know what to do, right? Isn't it? And if you are going, and if
Now, let's delve onto the four sources of coping. The first one is optimism. In optimism, it is expected that good things rather than bad things is gonna happen to the self. The second is personal control or mastery. In this one, it refers to whether a person can able to influence or change outcomes. The third one is self-esteem. It is often defined as the person's perception of his or herself, her skills, her abilities, and her talents. That is what self-esteem is. And the last one is social support. It is defined as a person being liked by others and cared for emotionally and physically and socially.
Now, our topic is social and cultural dimensions of stress, based on Dr. Mikael Tan article, Stress and the Filipino. So before I begin, I want you to take a deep breath. Inhale, exhale. Now think about this. How many times have you ever said, I'm stressed? Maybe this morning rushing to school, or maybe last week while preparing for our English month celebration. Or maybe you've heard it coming from your parents saying, I'm tired of works, tired from paying bills, or maybe tired from life. Stress is a word we use every day, but have you ever wondered what does it really means? Not just personally, but as a Filipino, how does our culture shape the way we feel, the way we react, and the way we heal? Today, I'll share with you an insightful and eye-opening discussion by Dr. Mikael L. Tan, a respected Filipino medical anthropologist. His article, Stress at the Filipino, talks about something deeper: the social and cultural dimensions of stress, how being a Filipino influences not only what stresses us out, but also how we deal with it. Dr. Tan begins with a powerful truth. He says stress is mediated through culture, from very nature of stressor to the way we respond. This means that stress is not the same for everyone. People in different countries experience and handle stress differently because of culture shapes our response. For example, in some Western countries, stress might be managed through therapy, medication, or yoga. But for us Filipinos, we often turn to our family, friends, laughter, faith, and food. Culture influences what we consider stressful. It decided whether we see something as a small inconvenience or a major problem, and it also determines what we believe is the right way to cope. That's why understanding our own cultural background is important, because it helps us to create ways to manage stress that truly fit to who we are. Now, let's come to part 2. Dr. Tan explains that culture is not fixed. It adapts to circumstances. We Filipinos are one of the most adaptable people in the whole world. We live in crowded cities, noisy streets, and unpredictable weather. Yet we find ways to live, laugh, and even celebrate amidst it all. Think of this. Think of the traffic in Manila. Loud horns, endless lines, and smoke everywhere. Most of the people would break down in this kind of environment. But we Filipinos, we make jokes, we play music in jeepneys, cars, and we say relax lang, and we move on. Dr. Tan notes something interesting. He says, while we enjoy the liveliness around us, Filipino are so sensitive about the smell. He writes that some others are so bad that they can cause stomachache. We smell everything, from food to lovers, and we find something smell good, we tend to indulge too much. This way, or this may sound funny, but it actually shows something deeper. Our environment, even the smallest thing like smell or noise, affects our stress levels. And because of that, we've developed small cultural habits like using colognes, air fresheners, or even aromatic therapy oils. It's our way of saying life may be messy, but at least it smells nice. Now, in part 3, Dr. Tan talks about where our stress really came from. Dr. Tan highlights that Filipino face many sources of stress. It's from work, from livelihood, or from relationship. Farmers worry about droughts and typhoon. Office workers deal with strict bosses, deadlines, and gossip from co-workers. While parents is worried about feeding their children or families. Students worry about their exams, expectations, and future. Stress is everywhere, in every social class, in every part of the country. Even in families, which is the greatest source of love, it can be also the source of stress. In Filipino culture, we value extended families. That means the more people we love, but also the more people we worry about. We carry the burden of responsibilities, sometimes for relatives who don't even live with us. Dr. Tan also talks about the stress of overseas Filipino workers. Imagine leaving your home, your family, and your children, and going to another country just to earn money. Overseas workers not only deal with the homeless or homesickness, but the loneliness and also with the pressure of meeting those expectations. Every month they send money home, not just money, but often they also send their health, their youth, and their emotional well-being. And what about the poor, who move from provinces to city? They face different kind of stress level. They struggle to survive in an expensive, competitive urban environment. They carry heavy responsibilities, not just for themselves, but for the families they left behind. All this shows that stress in the Philippines isn't just personal, it's a social, it's a tied to a poverty, inequality, and weight of family expectations. Despite of all these challenges, Filipinos are known for one thing, is that we put smile through the pain. Dr. Tan describes the scene of smiling and laughing of Filipinos. He both considered it as beautiful and deceiving because behind that laughter often lies an exhaustion, sadness, or worry. We deal with stress by trying to be masaya or happy. He calls it pagsasaya, which means a social camaraderie. It's when we make cheerfulness as a group effort, when we laugh together, sing together, or even drink together. Not because everything is fine, but because we are trying to make it fine. And perhaps the best example of this is during funerals. Instead of mourning in silence, we have wakes full of visitors, food, jokes, and music. It may seem strange for outsiders, but for us, it's healing. It's how we transform grief into connection, sadness into strength, and pain into acceptance. Being masaya doesn't mean we don't feel pain. It only means we choose to face it with hope. It's not denial, it's resilience. And it's the Filipino way of saying, kaya natin to. Or, we can handle this. But Dr. Tan also reminds us, too much of anything can be harmful. Even too much happiness. can hide pain that's never been addressed. He uses a word from our language, dalamhati, which means a deep sorrow, a sadness that consumes a heart or the heart. When grief or anger stays inside for too long, it can affect not only our emotions but also our health. Filipino often practices what he calls titiis in English, endurance, and kimkim in English, repression. We hold it in, we keep quiet. We say, okay lang ako, even when we are breaking inside. And that's where our problems begin. Because when emotions are trapped inside, they find different ways or other ways to come out. Sometimes through headaches, sleeplessness, body pain, or even sickness. That's why Dr. Tan encourages awareness to face emotion honestly, to talk about pain, and to express feelings in healthy ways. True strength, it's not pretending to be okay. True strength is acknowledging that your human Filipino culture then and now is a balance of two things, joy and endurance. On one side, we have our pagsasaya, our laughter, our love for music, food, and togetherness. On the other side, we have titiis, our quiet strength, our patience, and our ability to endure hardship. Both are important, both help us to survive. But Dr. Tan reminds us that we must not let endurance become silence. We must not rely or we must not let joy become escape. Because while culture helps us cope, it should also let us or help us heal. Healing comes not from hiding emotions, but from understanding them, sharing them, and transforming them into wisdom. Today, our stress has evolved. We no longer just worry about typhoons and droughts. We face modern stressor, traffic, social media pressure, financial struggles, academic burnout, and digital overload. But our coping methods remains the same. Family, humor, and prayer. And most importantly, perseverance. Even in social media, Filipino express their stress through memes and jokes. We make fun of our problems, not to minimize them, but to make them bearable. It's our unique cultural defense to turn pain into laughter and fear into faith.
In continuation to Isaiah's discussion about the social and cultural dimension of stress, many Filipinos express stress through physical symptoms like recurring headaches, abdominal pains, dizziness, nausea, and fatigue, often labeled culturally as nervous, which can mask serious conditions like high blood pressure. The mysterious bangungot or sudden nighttime deaths linked to nightmare may also relate to stress but remain medically unexplained. Filipinos experience namamahay or missing home, causing symptoms like insomnia and constipation when away from home, reflecting stress. Traditional healers, such as the manghihilot, could be adapted to address through therapeutic massage and social activities that calm the mind. Overall, Filipino ways of coping with stress are deeply shaped by cultural norms and social upbringing, and despite challenges, that this unique coping mechanism contribute to their sense of happiness and identity.
The second topic that assigned to me is taking care of the self, the need for self-care and compassion. Generally speaking, self-care is engaging in activities and behaviors that have a positive impact on one's mental and physical health. Green 2017, she adds that there's a bit of reverse building rule aspect to the practice, that is to treat yourself as compassionately as you treat others. So the reason why self-care is necessary It increases sense of self-love, allowing appreciation and acceptance to who a person is. And it promotes feelings of calm and relaxation, serving a ways to focus and come back to daily life refreshed and ready to take on anything. Third, it, it improves both physical and mental health by reducing the effects of prolonged stress on mind and body. Ways to engage in self-care. First, physical self-care. Eating well, exercising regularly, help prioritizing sleep and taking care of health. Second, emotional self-care. Managing anxiety, anger and sadness, and other emotions. Setting boundaries with people who are not positive or supportive, spending time alone to rest and recharge, maintaining a bullet journal. Third, spiritual self-care, volunteering, connecting with nature, meditation, and mindfulness.
Now, compassion. Compassion means wanting someone to be free from pain and feeling moved to help them. It comes from the idea of suffering together, understanding one's or person's struggles and wishing them to relieve them from pain is what we call compassion. Now, psychologist Paul Ekman describes different forms of compassion. Number one is familial compassion. This is the first kind of compassion we learn as children, and it came from the love and care from parents or caregivers. The second one is global compassion. This compassion is from people we don't know, even strangers from different country, culture, or races. For example of this is when the Philippines was repeatedly hit by typhoons and causes flood in some areas, and then the K-pop group in Hypen shows global compassion by donating money or sending help for the Filipino victims. Their willingness to help in different nation or different nationalities shows a global compassion. The third one is sentient compassion. This form of compassion extends to all living things, not just for human. It means caring about animals, insects, trees, or anything that can feel pain. When people develop sentient compassion, they often become caring to the whole world, and this is considered the highest form of moral compassion, the sentient compassion. The fourth one is the heroic compassion. This involves compassion that risk or sacrifice, and heroic compassion, there are two kinds. Number one is immediate heroic compassions. You act instantly without thinking. For example, jumping into a danger to save someone. Like for example, pulling someone away from a moving car. That's the example of immediate heroic compassion. The second kind of heroic compassion is the considered heroic compassion. You act with thought and planning and sometimes for a long time. For example, if this is you always help or you always donated to that specific orphanage for a long time. It is not impulsive. It is about a long time commitment that shows considered heroic compassion.